Oh, here we go. We're live. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to our April post-Easter, although I know a lot of people are on Easter holidays right now, so post-Easter Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind call. And we have got on the call two awesome, super-duper people that you are going to be hearing from in a moment. That's Richard and Kerry. Richard and Kerry Flanagan, I have known for some time now. They've been out to iLab, they've been on the Christmas Circle, and they've built a whole business, T-Shirtify, that you're going to be hearing about as we go. So first of all, hi guys, good to have you both on the call.
Hi Roger.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, and the second person that was meant to be on the call, which is Rensky, I'm going to tell you a bit about her business. She came onto our also Christmas Circle, and I'm part of Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind as well. And then she actually came to our master's program in February, so only like a month and a half ago, in Tau in South Africa, and she won the whole thing, right? So she actually ended up with her company, which I'm going to be sharing more about as to how she built her product brand, because we're going to be talking more about product brand on this one. How she went about it and what and basically what the key insights were as she went through it as well. So before we jump into it, let me share a few things for navigation for everybody. So first of all, here we go. The first thing is, if you are on Facebook at the moment, then here on Facebook, you will see that we had already been posting on here. So you can see here in terms of the link. Oh, hi Sigrid, hope you found your way here. There is a link which I'm going to give you directly to it, where the call has started, and we're all here. And here is the link. All right, okay, so if you happen to be on there, you can follow that link and it'll take you through to this page. This page is our Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind page. And as you can see here, we have got the live call which is going, and new comments available here. Would love to hear from everyone that is currently on the call. Hi everyone, where are you today? And what's your product brands? So I'm really keen for everyone to share what your product brands are as we go through. I'm in Bali and name brand. This one is Entrepreneur 5.0. So I'm going to explain to you what Entrepreneur 5.0 is, what this is all about, and how we design our product brands and why it's so important to design brands as we go as well, right? So do post wherever you are, and we will then see who else we have on the call. And also, if you have any comments, questions, you can post them as well. This is a really critical call, because on the last call, you remember, and there's a library up here to find all the calls and everything, that we were talking about the whole concept of how you build your personal brand. And so this is about how do you now link your personal brand to, first of all, your product brand, and then the third brand is your company brand. And so many people start with their company brand, and then they put their website up on their company, and they haven't yet built any kind of personal branding, or they haven't found people that have got very strong personal branding. And people build trust around people much more than they build trust around companies, right? It's just the way it goes. And today, more than ever, that's the case. So personal brand is number one. Then from personal brand, it's about product brand, because that's what makes the money. When people don't buy your company, people buy your product, right? So it's about how do you then design that product in a way that really solves a customer's problem. We're going to come over and we're going to get see the distinctions of this as we get into this. It's really super important. But we're going to come over first of all to Richard and Kerry, and I would love for you guys to share, before you started T-Shirtify, how you were running your business and kind of like what the challenges were at that point, and how that then shifted into the beginnings of T-Shirtify.
Yeah, sure. So, before I started T-Shirtify, we were running. We had our own e-commerce company that was kind of like it sold T-shirts basically, and we built sort of some manufacturing and systems around that. And I'd been running that for a while, and I really felt there was a space for to serve this on a much more sort of personal level to people. But I think I was a bit too early to the party. So we kind of invested in some bigger and better and much more expensive sort of world-class equipment. And I sort of went down the route of working with corporate companies and doing with bigger brands, direct into retail, because what we do is digital printing. So it worked more on an on-demand model. And I could sort of see the landscape shifting, and I thought there was an opportunity for us in that space. So we were building a business, and we're quite heavily into it, into supplying high street brands. But it kind of it got to the point where it was very high volume, and it was great kudos to work with these amazing companies and stuff. But it was very, very small margin, and they were very, very difficult to work with, and they always paid really, really late. So it's just all my time and our time was spent really managing the people at these companies, and just thinking, well, I don't really. It's so transactional, this business. I don't really enjoy it. I don't enjoy the time I'm doing it. It's not really what I'd like to be doing. And then we came. I was searching really for a different way to do it, and I kept coming back to this model of thinking how could we serve people on a more personal basis and make it smaller and really sort of have a sense of helping people. And then I came. So I was searching, and I went along to one of your events by myself, and saw the different waves of how entrepreneurs were changing, how the world was changing, and how technology and people were sort of colliding in different ways. And I just, over the course of the weekend, just filled my notebook full of the way that I thought the company should be, and the kind of company I wanted to build, the people we wanted to help, how we wanted to do better in the world, and how we could work together on a family business to create something different that could actually make a difference. But of course, then I went back, and I've got the same business with the same problems, and it's completely caught up in, everyone's looking at me sort of going, what are you talking about? We haven't got this business right now. So then even sort of Kerry was sort of scratching her head. But over time, we started talking about it more, and us working as a couple and as a family wanting to build a different kind of life. So we started looking at this more and more seriously and thinking, how could we build a business for our family? And so the story goes, I suppose, that another year went past when I was trying to unpack the business we'd got. Kerry then came along to your event, was like, right, Roger's our man. Yeah, totally understand what you're trying to do here, Rich. And so we just started with one client, and we went to iLab in 2017, February 2017, with one client, and we were building a business around what they needed from a product standpoint, I guess, and built the business up from there. And then over the course of the year, just closed the other businesses down and started the new one up. And then a year later, we went to Wealth Dynamics in Tau. And so we just kind of followed that path, really, of just scaling it up as we go and relearning as we go as well, basically, but always building the business around what customers are asking us to do.
Yeah, and I think having experience in that industry ourselves really helps. So we're both from quite creative backgrounds, so we understand the clients that we're working with and the challenges that they're facing. So the experience that we've had personally really helps, because we've just got the first-hand knowledge of that, and we know how lonely it is being out there by yourself, trying to run your own brand, trying to survive in the digital landscape, and trying to kind of learn your way through it. So we're there as a support really for our clients. We can have input and actually help them grow their businesses. So what we do now is we work with all sorts of influencers, small independent brands, people that kind of need a team around them. They've got this passion that they're really this kind of purpose that they've built, that they're really keen to kind of take out there to the world, but they just need that support behind them to help them do it. And the services that we provide give them that sort of freedom to be able to do that and make a success of it, really. Yeah.
I'm just unmuting here. I think there's a real fundamental key thing around your strategy and what you've done, which we're going to jump into a bit. And so for everyone to really understand this, I'm going to share a little bit on the structure in thinking through how these different brands link to everything, like how they link to the design of how flow happens as well. So let me first of all just share my screen here, and by the way, like we already quite a few people started posting. We've got like we've got Jan here saying hi from the Czech group. We've got Deepa from Mumbai. We've got like Peter here in Sydney. He's got a product which is called Walkthrough Software. We've got Steve, who's got a program called the Blueprint Conversion System. We've got here Sonia, who's saying, is she in the right place? Yes, she's in the right place, Sonia. We've got Duncan, who's like in the UK, working on Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind. Like, until you have a product, you can't build a team. Until you have a product, you can't. And again, it doesn't start with the product. This is the most important thing. Many of you have heard me say it starts with the customer, right? So then you say, okay, well, what are the building blocks to really build into the steps of the spectrum levels? And actually going through the spectrum levels, like if I just close this one for a moment, I come back to here. This here is where we're at the moment on the navigation on the lighthouse, right? We're basically in a conversation around yellow level, where you're going from identify your identity, which is your branding, to master your market, which is understanding now your customer. And through understanding your customer, you're designing your products. And from your products and from your personality, you then design them to then monetize your moment, which is all about not just who you are, which is all about like becoming a better version of yourself, but who is your customer, and then becoming a better version of themselves. And you're using a product as a way for you to do that, right? So monetize your moment is all about how do you build a promotion plan that enables that to happen. And if you look at this here, which shows basically the brand triangle, you'll see that personal brand is the #1 most important thing. If you don't have a personal brand yourself, you should connect to people who do have a personal brand. So what we're about to see is that what Richard and Kerry did with T-Shirtify is they said, well, let's go out and actually like work with influencers who have a personal brand, where we can then help them to create product brands, right? So at the end of the day, a personal brand can only, like, if you see the colors here, if we just come back a moment to the colors, there's yellow, green, and blue here. So if we go back to here, if you're at orange level, the only thing you can really do is sell your time. That's like a worker, right? And you're selling your time because basically you have no product, right? Like at the end of the day, the one thing you do have, which is a value, is your time and what you can do with that time. So as a result, you then basically go and normally work with a company that has a product of some sort, where you're selling their product or you're helping them in some way to sell more of their products, and so they can pay you, right? And so that's how you get a job, right? So getting a job is all about going and looking for someone who's already got a company and got a product that you can then get some payment for by giving them your time. How do you get to yellow level? Yellow level, lots of people try and jump straight to yellow by saying, I'll just create a product, thinking that somehow all the customers are going to magically show up. And the answer is they don't, because their customers are already going to get their problem solved by somebody else. So until you've actually got yourself a personal brand of some sort that people can connect with, then now can you build a personal brand from inside someone else's company? 100% you can, right? So brilliant example, right? What we just saw here is just even like posting here what Duncan's doing by posting and saying, hey, look, I'm a community manager, I'm working with Jam, Entrepreneur 5.0, like Kathleen and the team. Kathleen's got a personal brand that she's building as community leader. Duncan's got his own personal brand that he's building as one of our Genius Igniters and also one of our community managers within the UK, but also working with people overall, but connecting up to someone else's product, right? And so this step here is really, really important to do. Even if you're not yet with your own products, you can do it with someone else. So we're going to see how it was possible to build your personal brand in such, or connect with someone who's got a personal brand in such a way you build a product brand. And the reason this is yellow, this is green, this is blue, is you have to have this as a base while you're building your identity before you can focus on your customer, to then get to a point where you're connecting with the customer. If you do not have a product brand when you've built your personal brand, and some of you are at this stage where you've said, hey, look, I've actually got myself a personal brand now, but everyone wants my time. It's because you haven't designed a product that's strong enough yet for someone to say, hey, I can get all the value that this person has to give me by taking their product without me having to have their time. And if you haven't got to that stage yet, it's because the product's not designed to be strong enough yet to really solve their problem without you having to be there, right? And it could be someone else who's got a product that actually does that job for you, in the same way that with Richard and Kerry, they were going to people out there who were doing exactly that, and then actually building it from there. So we're going to go through, and then from there, the company brand is the next step, which is basically having now a company that has equity value, which means people are going to want to invest in it. But you can't have a company without having a product. You can't have a product without first having your own personality, because people are going to follow a person more than going to follow a product. And understanding how these link in exactly the same way that Nike has strong products, but what made Nike so successful was they connected up with celebrities that were able to endorse their products, right? So if they were out just trying to sell their products on the basis of the products themselves, they wouldn't be so successful. You know, Elon Musk is in the news today because he's got such a strong personal brand. So he's there talking all about his vision for like driverless cars. And then of course Tesla sells more of Tesla's products, which are the Tesla X. If you don't know about the Tesla products, they're all linked to the word sexy, right? So there's Tesla, there's first of all the Model 5, right, which is the S. And then there's the Model 3, which is the E. Then there's the Model X, right, which is basically the X, right? And then there's Model Y, which is kind of come as well, right? So basically, like he's like just made all sorts of jokes out of his products, but basically the products are all then linked to a different, a customer, where one's an SUV, one's a roadster, one's basically like, for like mid-range cars under $35,000. So he's got very, very clear that he wants to connect to different customers to actually then appeal to his same personal brand, and then also get appeal to his companies, whether it's Tesla, whether it's SpaceX. They all are linked to his personal brand, just like Richard Branson has got a personal brand that links to multiple companies. So if you don't have a personal brand, you can't go out and build multiple companies in a way that people then will actually see the value in all those companies and why they'd want to be part of it as well. The reason it says conversation, conversion, and credibility is when you design this right, you'll have your own personal website, which is all about conversation, which means you're not looking to try and sell anything on your personal website. You're getting people to come and connect with you. And so a lot of the people that Richard and Kerry are working with are people that have their own personal sites, either on social media or separately. Then product brands are you've got your product pages, which are all about conversion. So you're sending people to your product page specifically because they're going to decide to do something on that page, and there's going to be one thing to do. And then you can have your kind of company page, which is going to be all about credibility, right? And people are going to go there to check you out to say, is this a company that's credible? Is this a company I want to be a part of, right? And linking the three together, someone is going to do their due diligence on all three to then actually say, this is a company I want to come back to again and again. And the moment you've got that, you've got basically customer flow that's going to be ongoing off the back of that too. So here's the T-Shirtify website. Creating time, wealth, freedom, and identity for independent brand and artists. Very, very focused. And here, even an example, artist General Painter is now in control of their identity, has more time to work on his art. And as you go down here, you'll see, partnering with us, you scale your business, free your time, increase your wealth, discover epic new ways to influence the world. We're more than just print on demand. We build store for you. We're a brilliant print and product. So very clear here that this is solving a problem which goes beyond just, hey, I need some t-shirts, right? This is solving a problem, which is that I'm an influencer that is looking for a way to make more money. And by working with T-Shirtify, I can then have my own store where I'm able to immediately make money from all of the people that I'm working with. And you can see here all the details of how they go about doing it, right? Auto drop ship, T-Shirtify Plus, and why you should actually be working with them, right? So very, very, very specific and talking about each of the people they're working with as their partners. Here's General Painter, here's News Thump. Here is James White. Here is Demons of Doom Killers, and here's Fake Hero. So these are all different brands that now are all working together with Richard and Kerry. So just from what I just shared there, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Just from what I shared there, I'd love for you to just share from your own experience when you start, take us through your first deal where you went to someone who's an influencer and then basically convince them that having their own products that you could then design for them made more sense than them trying to figure it out for themselves.
Do you want to go? I think you don't always have to convince them, because I think a lot of the time they are sort of individuals. They have got this personal brand, and I think more and more these days, people recognize the idea that they can only do so much. That being said, I think there is a tendency to still overproduce in certain areas. Well, they'll focus in certain areas too much, and try and micromanage. So when you talked about having different sort of levels, different products, and for different customers at different levels, that is so critical, because if you don't understand that, then you end up over delivering in certain areas. So from the point of view of people working with us, we try and assess them on the way in terms of where they fit, in terms of the scale of who they are, and what their potential is. and not try and manage those expectations, but give them products that are going to either allow them to self-manage using the systems and processes that we've got, or if they really qualify, we will do almost everything for them, basically, because their time is so valuable that they do need to be, as you said, just having constantly having the conversations within their own communities to actually push those brands out. So I think it's relatively easy these days with the people we're working in particular, and at the scale that they are, they are aware of their limitations in terms of what they need to, and they know where their value is, and they know that how the value that we can leverage using what we do for them to create new revenue streams.
And also they know their customers really well, don't they?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
They know their audience. They know what they need to provide for their audience, for their fans. So sometimes they come to us with quite specific list of requirements, and they can be, I mean, for example, one of the big influencers that we work with, she's only 20 years old. She knows exactly. So the key thing to her is to offer garments that span the whole size range. So they have to go from like double extra small to 5XL, and that is the key thing to her. So we had to be really creative with our solutions for that, and actually find a product. So go out there and source a product that will cover all these sizes. And it seems like a really simple thing, but it actually took us quite a while to do. But that just hit the nail on the head for her, and that, you know, she was happy as soon as we provided this ethical garment that covered all these sizes.
It was unisex and gender fluid, and that really spoke to her audience.
Yeah, so we kind of have to step into their shoes a lot and really understand who they are, who their customer is, and show that we've got clarity on that.
And like in a case like with her, like, you know, well, first of all, how did she find you, or how did you find her?
She actually came in through Google AdWords, I think.
Yeah,
through digital advertising. But I think the feedback that we're getting from people is the fact that because we have e-commerce experience, not just product experience like a lot of our competitors, that's what's attractive to them. The fact that we understand how people get customers, where they come from, and what we can do with that data to then retarget and advertise to people. That helped us to stand out. Yeah,
for sure.
How many of the people you're getting now are coming from like social media? Because like I know at the very beginning, when you just got started, and you said, right, well, here's the product offering, and here's our target, right? Here's who we want to go for, right? That like, you know, I mean, if you again start with your very first person that you ever worked with, and then how that just got going for everyone who's on the call thinking, well, you know, I've got an idea. How do I actually just get it going? Because that was a large part of how we spoke, where I even said at the beginning, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be able to have enough proof that you can go do Google AdWords, you know, do social media and target all the right people. But there's a part of the first bit, which is the offline part as well, of physically like going to people one-to-one. So do you want to just talk us through that process of how you grew it?
Yeah, so I mean, I start with the first client we ever got. You know, you sort of build a picture of the company you want to build, and the products you want to offer, and really, like Kerry says, really step into their shoes, and then go to them with an initial proposal that sort of says, well, these are the things I think, you know, you might have problems with. Are these the problems you have? And so, yeah, it was kind of like I just wrote a list of people that we wanted to target as like our ideal first clients. And then just went knocking at the door or sending emails, basically, because that's really the only way you can get through, or sending them direct messages and all those sort of things. And that's how we got our first sort of bigger client. And we sort of you never know. It's about timing and all these things, right? Because you're going to get the door slammed in your face so many times by sending those emails out. And I think it's persisting through that you know, gets you where you want to do. But I think as well, it's just timing as well, because he was already trying to do this by himself, using some of the people, but not in an automated, systemized fashion. So the timing was perfect for when we actually managed to contact him. And yeah, we just you just over deliver really in that with that first client as much as you possibly can in terms of doing everything you possibly can for them, you know, creating the products for them, creating as many solutions, and just showing how you really can solve all the problems they've got so that they can focus completely on what they want to be doing. You've created that revenue stream that is easy. And then, and even over time, we still, with that client, introduce new products, basically. And he was already trying to sell another product through another supplier that we didn't even actually sell at that point. It's not something we'd integrated into our system. But he then had built that trust up with us to such a degree that he said, look, I'm having these problems. Are you guys interested in doing this business? So I just said, well, how much is this business you doing with it? And he told me. I was like, yeah, okay, we can just give me a couple of days, find out how much the piece of kit cost, how much, you know, it was going to take for us to integrate into our systems, what people we needed. Did a quick calculation and said, we can pay for this even on half of what he does, and then we can open that out. But once we systemize it, we can open that out to all our other clients and offer it to them as well, basically. So we created another revenue stream for ourselves by listening to what he actually wanted.
I think to go back to social media and digital advertising, we pick up a lot of our smaller clients that way. So like by default, you know, we attract people that are just starting out, or just starting t-shirt brands who don't necessarily have the big following or the knowledge, or, you know, they haven't even got their products right. But we can't ignore them because there's still something that we can give back to them. So we've set up, we're trying to automate as much as possible the onboarding process for them. So we've actually recently developed an app, so it's completely hands off from our perspective. We're going to be doing lots of e-learning and sort of doing webinars and putting resources out there to them so that they can hopefully grow their businesses as well at, you know, a much sort of slower scale. But that, you know, those are the guys that provide us with our community at the end of the day. So we're kind of building this community, aren't we? The smaller guys are helping us a lot, and then sort of trying to connect with these bigger influencers, which are a lot harder. You know, it's a longer, slower process to get them on board, to get everything just right. But they're the guys that
really deliver the revenue,
that really deliver for us. So for every one of them, it would probably take, you know, 20 or so of the smaller guys, you know. So it's building that and building it slowly, I guess.
I think, yeah.
No, you
can say. Sorry, go on.
No, you go first.
I was going to say, I think along this process as well, what we've realised is by doing more and more research, is that you kind of, when you look into this space that we're going into now, which essentially is kind of influencer marketing in a way, because they're marketing their personal brand with products, right? And what we're sort of seeing is that it's sort of split down the middle in terms of half of them want automation and half of them really want a hands-on service. And we're really moving into that space of that hands-on service by providing as much as we can for people to grow, by delivering automation. And as they kind of move up our customer scale themselves, and as they grow, we deliver more and more hands-on services to them and build much more partnerships around the way that we work with them, basically. And so in the instance of someone that comes to us that we think, well, they really, really qualify, we will deliver a completely hands-on service because it's worth something to us and it's really worth something to them to sort of develop those relationships.
I really like that whole story about how, you know, when you have a customer, especially at the very beginning, like it's the very best way to then figure out what your product's going to be, because the customer's going to tell you what the product should be, and they're going to tell you what they need to pay you, right? And so then from there, it's like, well, can we make money out of doing that? If we've chosen the right customer, then we should be delivering whatever problem it is, or solve whatever solution that their problem that they have can be solved with, and then from there, it's like, oh, now I can actually start to multiply that out, and exactly the way you're doing it, where you've got now the smaller ones, and you've got the bigger guys that show up as well. And that whole process, like, because now you're in it, right? So now the whole thing's going to just evolve and grow, and it's about the way you multiply it, but it's about that multiplier, and it's about the key fact that actually designs in with a particular product of some sort. I'm going to add another piece. I know we've talked about this in the past, and let me actually just share again my screen, because I want to share something that happened in the whole process of Renske and what she went through. So, and it's kind of like the next step when someone's trying to work out product-wise what they need to do next off the back of it. So first thing I would say is that coming back to the whole idea of the product brand triangle, when you're getting started, and I know there's quite a number of people on this call who are at that kind of beginning point, you can't start by trying to start everything from scratch. So in the case of T-Shirtify, it's like, well, let's go out and actually get connected to some personal brands that already have flow, and then we'll support them on the product. The opposite can also happen. We get lots of people that work with us as our partners who go, well, the product brand, like something like Wealth Dynamics or something like Millionaire Master Plan is already well known. We'll actually work with that product, and then we'll build our personal brand off the back of that product, right? And that works perfectly well as well, right? So either way, it works well. Even if someone's partnering up with the company brand where someone says, I want to sell Apple computer products, they're still going to focus on a particular product they're going to sell as step number one. So if you're starting and you're like, I'm going to create my own personal brand, I'm going to create my own products, you're killing yourself to get going, right? You have to start in one or the other. However, you get to a point where you build enough strength in terms of a base and in terms of even like a recognizable brand, and you know now how to really go out there and build off the back of that, that from there you can then actually then build your own products, right? And actually build from there. So this is what happened with Renske. Renske, her business, she began a business called Colours Australia. And the whole idea of Colours Australia was that she was going to schools and to parents in Australia, which is obviously why it's called Colours Australia, where she was basically finding all these kind of really cool little educational toys that are all made in places like Nepal or in Bali. So there was a sustainable whole way that the thing worked off the back of not just helping your child to learn, but also helping the planet, right? And helping the planet both because it was made out of sustainable materials, but also helping the planet because you're actually working together with different local craftspeople that were actually making these toys, which is really awesome. And so when we started working together, what became really interesting very quickly was she was stuck in the fact that she was in Australia building something there with this whole thing called Colours Australia without the ability to really start expanding beyond that. And she realized that the real key thing here was her having her own product brand, because she was actually bringing in products from elsewhere. So she created here Papoose Toys. Papoose Toys, Papoose basically is an Indian word, which is the word for the kind of cloth that you put around a baby to kind of make them all feel kind of snug, right? So it's the idea, and we basically at Wealth Dynamics Masters came up with the catchphrase Papoose Toys, toys that hug the world, right? Or toys that hug the planet. So the whole idea is that basically these are toys that are actually making a difference to the world, but they're also really, as you can see, all very cuddly, right? Cuddly food. And off the back of that, she's now got, this has all happened over the last year, in America, New Zealand, Germany, Canada, she's grown all around the world as a result of this, and business has just boomed off it. And so there's an element at some point when you get to a point where you're like, well, I've got all the production facilities, I know how to make the whole thing work now, I can actually evolve and grow my own. And I guess that's the question I have for you guys, is that I know that when we were talking originally and saying in terms of the steps of where you go, there was 100% going to be this kind of growth phase you go through where you're working together with influencers, people who have their own personal brand, and then from there build products for them. But in the longer term, for you to have your own platform where you could be selling your own products, almost like an Amazon for products, right? And go down a route where the big thing that you got connected to was making a difference in the world, right? And so you've already got here the whole idea of actually making a difference. You link it to buy one, give one, right? So the whole way that when someone actually buys from you, they're making a difference in the world as well. So I am curious, from your side, where to next? Do you see having your own products and building your own store as part of that pathway? Do you see it going more down the route of bigger and bigger influencers? What do you see for the future now?
What do you think?
Cool. Well, yeah, we're pretty clear. I think I suppose the company's really officially only a year old, and so we're sort of still on a trajectory really at the moment. We're still looking to scale ourselves really, and so by learning from our customers helps us to really understand how we can do that best really. So yeah, I think what we're trying to do is do lots of things at the same time, as we always do. But we are building our own platform, and I think rather than kind of going into a specific product platform from a t-shirt standpoint, where we kind of offer those products and services. We're building a platform where, as Kerry says, we're trying to build a community at different sort of scale, and we're building the tools that we use to help people sort of scale. We're on a pathway basically to kind of productize each one of those. And so it could be a tool to sort of identify your potential as an influencer, for example, and how many product posts you might need to do on social media, or it might be to identify the reaction that you get from when you do a post to the e-commerce effect, basically. And so we've got whole lots of tools that we use internally that we kind of still use in a manual. We use them internally, and we've got a manual way that we use those. We're thinking, well, if these are really useful to us, they're going to be useful for anyone that's on this journey, right? That's trying to sell their own products and kind of scale up what they do. So within the platform, what we're trying to do is take those ideas and turn them into automated products that other people can use, and that we can then start charging for and actually start creating recurring revenue from. So that's kind of one of the things that we will do. And I think just in terms of the next year, we are focusing on investing in the platform to help as many people grow as we can, while investing in growing our team to find the right people to help us grow the bigger clients that we really want to help. So there's lots of different things going on at the same time, but I think always at the core of what we do, we always realize that we are good at creating products. And you have to remember this all the time, that these have got value to people, and it's how we actually deliver that to them, basically, is the way that we need to really focus now.
Got it. Yeah.
And I think from a specific product point of view as well, actually sort of clothing and garments, one thing we're really keen to do is pursue, much more ethical products. We have like a standard core set garments that we get from our suppliers, but we're looking into like UK made garments, all the sustainable packaging, everything like that, because we're finding there's a real trend now that the end customer is making more of a demand on that, and actually they're willing to spend a bit more for a product, a much more transparent product. So that's something that we're really keen to pursue, and whether that ends up with our own product line, I don't know at this stage, but we're looking at lots of options for that as well.
Yeah, that's very cool. I really like the way you're looking to package more and more into the solution for influencers, because at the end of the day, like that's your market, right? So as those people get more and more value from you, they're going to then say, oh, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? And so that all then just creates more and more of a flow. And perfect example of where if you're helping people to, one of the most important distinctions when it comes to products is this something that's solving a problem, or is this something solving a commercial problem? And the difference of a problem and a commercial problem is a problem is something that takes money out of someone's pocket, because they're kind of okay, I'm hungry, right? It's okay, well, that can solve that problem. Go to a restaurant, right? Well, you're going to kind of pay money to do it, so you're going to have the decision, which is how much do you want to spend. Whereas a commercial problem, which is one that doesn't take money out of their pocket, it puts money in their pocket, which is if I get a shot, I'm going to make X amount of money. So it's worth me spending this much money to make that kind of money off the back of it. That success breeds success. The more you can show the results that you're actually delivering for your influencers, the more they're going to tell their friends, the more others are going to come and actually want to hear and see that as well. So I do want to just ask a question around that as well. What's your strategy around collecting the success stories, or the ways that you're going about upgrading your marketing, the more track record you're building as you go?
So yeah, I think we've still got a pretty small team. So part of our strategy is building that team to have someone dedicated to actually basically collect those stories and put them in a format. We do that anyway, because we're still quite close to sort of the key clients. And the beautiful thing is actually that if you do a great job and think of, everyone might think the t-shirt is a product, and it's not. To these people on their journey, the t-shirt is a canvas that represents their message. So they're so passionate about it, right? And so we say that t-shirt is their dream. So we're building people's dreams. So we take that really, really seriously. So as soon as you kind of make that leap to kind of say, well, this product isn't just a product, but it's actually representative of something that really, really means something to these people. Once you do that, and the team helps you to sort of deliver that to the end client, the client actually comes back to you and actually provides you with all the stories anyway. So with the feedback we get, we just need to signpost it into the right channels, and you can push it back out into social media anyway. So we do want to get better at that, and we want to move into kind of like these type of things really, where we're interviewing people about how they did what they did, and be able to pass that back down the chain for other people to help grow as well. So one of our strategies is really kind of try and build this idea of having the only way I can describe it is like a media company. So we're just pushing out the information the whole time about what we're doing and educating people, telling people our secrets, basically, not giving away the secrets, but telling them about how we do stuff and how other people do it, because that, I think, is really attractive to people, and in terms of the messages that you put out there.
Mm-hmm. And working with some of the more high profile clients comes with its challenges, because they're not always happy for us to put their name out there into media, and for people to know that they've got a printing business behind, that they want people to think that they've got their own sort of bespoke team creating things. So one of our strategies is to, rather than go directly to influencers, is to actually go to the gatekeepers, go to the agents, go to the managers, and we'll be able to tell these stories back behind closed doors, so we're not actually doing it so publicly. That's one area of the business that we're really keen to drive this year. We've got a strategy for that. We're just we will be on the lookout for the right person to do that, won't we, in the near future? Yeah.
But that's all come from really, really understanding the customer and understanding actually who the customer is, because sometimes we've kind of got three layers sometimes of customer. We've got the customer that we deal with directly that pays us money, but we've also got to think about their customer, because their customer is the one that receives the product. And because we've got this hands off distance relationship where sometimes we might not even meet our direct customer, and so they have to build a trust in us that we're going to deliver to their customer. So there's all these different layers that we kind of really have to think about, because it's not just our direct relationship that we've got to really think about. And the leap we had on one of your the mentoring calls we had a few months ago, was actually thinking, like Kerry said, about this strategy around the agents, to sort of really think, well, what is it they want? Because we need to be able to put money into their pockets, like you just said, right? So we've got to think, well, what structure do we need to make it really easy for them to make a decision to push it out to all their clients in a way that makes money for not only their clients, but for the agent as well, basically.
Totally, absolutely right. And no question that there's going to be, that's the biggest issue influencers have, is like, how long is my influence going to be out there for, right? It's like a sports person. It's like they know they've got a limited period of time, and at any point it could shut off. And it's not only that, like a lot of the influencers, the only way they're figuring out how to make money with their big followings is via YouTube and ad dollars or Facebook ad dollars or where, and they keep on changing their algorithms. So they're not even able to rely on that. So, and every influencer has got a whole bunch of other people around them saying, the money tap doesn't last forever. You really got to make the most of it. So they're all trying to figure out, how do I create some kind of ongoing residual income of some sort? And even going to your top guys, maybe sometime in the future, and saying to them, hey, if you see how we're doing by going out with our service to all the influencers, we're bringing on 5-6 shareholders who are going to take on a shareholding in our company, and we'd love for you to be one of them. And that means you're going to get ongoing cash flow from your association with us long after you've stopped being an influencer, right? So, and then they're going to go, great, where do I sign, right? Because for them, you're solving a much bigger problem than just, I need merchandise. You're solving the bigger problem, which is like, how am I going to earn money in the future? And so those kind of elements of how you bring those in is going to be really critical. But I definitely want to recommend everyone, as you're listening to this, to be thinking, how much am I really trying to put myself in the head of my customer in a way that's going to make them just go, yes, I must be a part of this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to share another example, which I think is really important for everyone to be thinking about as we're going through this. And I've got a couple of questions that people have been asking that I'm going to come to as well. So first of all, this is very topical. It's actually happening right now. I think on the last call, we were sharing in terms of kind of like product brands and how we were how we go about raising funding, right? So on the last call, we were just starting on this thing here, which was for one of the companies, Entrepreneur Resorts, and it was specifically around something that already had a very strong brand, which was our beach club that we're looking at buying. It's not even our beach club yet, right? This is like in Thailand. It's a beach club there. But basically, this is where we're saying, okay, we're actually going to go out there and raise some funding off the back of it. And this is a good example of a landing page, right? This is a product page, right? Even though it's raising funding, it's a product page where people are coming in, clicking on register now, going as a loan. So this is closed now, right? So, and we raised over $2 million in the last month just on this one thing with this one page. And it was simply because we had something that was building credibility. As you start evolving, going to the point where you can then actually have, going from personal to product to then company brand, which is where you're a blue level promotion, which is actually raising capital for your business. This is a good example of what's happening here. And then of course it can go to the millions very, very quickly. However, if you take a few zeros off and you're at the $10,000 mark, for example, and then you say, okay, well, how do I start on something like that? It's exactly the same steps. It's about saying, well, what would be the actual product that has enough credibility linking to my brand? We have this thing that we're doing at the moment, which many of you will see, and some of you would already have started hearing about, which is Entrepreneur 5.0. So every year what we do within our promotions is every year we basically will come up with something fresh, something different, because everything's changing all the time. And so we'll repackage a number of different products along with our own products into a brand new promotion, which in itself will have an umbrella product brand to it. So Entrepreneur 5.0 is an umbrella product brand. It basically is a promotion we're running where the whole basis of Entrepreneur 5.0 is that we are going to be having a 5-day free training course for people to be part of, where we're expecting 20,000 people to sign up for it, and where it's going to also be a countdown to 2020 competition with a chance to win a trip to the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. And then from there, the people who really like those 5 days, out of those 20,000, we're expecting about 2,000 of them to then upgrade to our citizen level, where for $97, they're then getting a full 12 days together with the 6 monthly webinars for the rest of the year. And that basically allows them to really get ready for 2020, where the whole theme is obviously get ready for 2020, right? Where 2020 is only like 8 months away now. And the whole structure of it, you'll see here, is a whole number of different things that we're doing, some of which are new, some of which are existing products, where the whole thing generates $3.5 million. But it's not doing it for the revenues. We've got to make sure everything we're doing is profitable, but we're not doing it really just for the revenues. We're doing it because it allows us to really ensure that we're learning everything we need to know about the year 2020 when it's coming along, right? So the reason it's called 5.0, and by the way, as an example, this here is a landing page that isn't even live yet, right? This is going to go live in the next week. In fact, I think maybe tomorrow it's going to go live, which is a partner pre-registration. So coming back to the point that Richard and Kerry were making around being, being first of all clear, not just who are your customers, but who are your partners, who's going to be earning money as you go. Obviously, we have a big partner community, so we're going to the partners to say, hey, we've got this whole promotion that's going to be taking place for people on Entrepreneur 5.0. We've got this training plan that's going to be launching. We've got like these prices that are going to be coming on board. We want to have you come on board, and here's why we want you to have come on board, right? So there's a whole story behind it. You just join, it's free to join, so people just come on and join. And then it even explains what's in Entrepreneur 5.0 and explains that the Society 5.0 concept, which is from Japan, which is launching on the same day we launched this at the G20 Summit, right, which is 28th of June. When this launches, what we're doing is we're launching Entrepreneur 5.0 on the same day. And the Society 5.0 concept is the Japanese, who are always very futurist, has looked at the fact that we've gone through 4 industrial revolutions, and we're going now from the industrial era to the information age to now the impact age, where we've got all this like information at our fingertips, and it changes who we are as human beings. It gives us superpowers we didn't have before. So given that we're now going to this whole humanity 5.0 where we can solve all the world's problems, and you've got people like Masayoshi Son already like making billions out of doing this, we're doing that where we're actually saying, right, we're back to Renaissance times, where you're not having to like decide, are you high tech or high touch? Or you're not having to decide, am I a global nomad, digital nomad, or am I a social entrepreneur, or am I a fast growth entrepreneur? You can be all of them, right? So insight, impact, income, high touch, high tech is 5 days that we're covering, where we go through the first 5 steps in each of these areas to be 2020 ready. So like just adding huge amounts of value up front for people to then go, well, why would I say no to that? And then once they're on, getting lots of value to the extent that the right people in there would then go, I'm going to do more of this. And then, of course, we're not out there trying to sell anything to anybody. We're just looking for who wants to buy. And then the ones who want to buy can then upgrade and move to the next level. And all our partners will then actually get the benefit of all those people deciding to do more with us as well. And this goes through and explains it too. So if you've thought through, what is my one page that actually explains all of why someone should actually work with me because I'm going to solve a problem they have? What's that problem I'm actually going to solve for them? How's it going to solve it? And then how do I do it in a timely way where there's something which is going to excite people now off the back of doing that as well? And so this would be an example of doing that where we'd say, what's the actual product? I mean, the product is just a simple 5-day course, but it links to all the other products we have. So it's not like we're ignoring the rest of our products, right? The rest of our products are all part of a pathway. And this is a brand new entry level that brings it all together and captures people's imagination in a very new and different way, given that we have 2020 coming our way as well. So really super important to always be thinking in that way as to how you design something that becomes topical and how you design something that actually is going to solve someone's problem in a unique and a different way as well. So let me come on to some of the questions. So I know for some of you, you might already just have some, I mean, I'm hoping everyone's minds are kind of really worrying now in terms of, well, what is your actual product brand? Whose product brands should you be working with? And how do you really make sure you're designing it all into a promotion plan where it's not left to chance whether you're not going to make the money or not. It's actually designed into it in the things that you're doing as well, which is like super, super important is how you do that, right? And here we have all the, like everything from like the pages, everything like that as well. So let me give you an example. If I can come here to the stories, right? Like the questions. Here's a question. I just picked this one out here because I thought it was kind of an interesting one. So this one's from Maxwell Nee. So Maxwell has joined quite recently. He's got a company called morecommittedclients.com. And he says, we have a lot of people viewing our entire 40-minute webinar. So he's obviously got a webinar page without booking a call to speak to us. So like they're watching it, but they're not booking a call. So I'm not certain, but I believe there's a lack of trust or credibility that is perceived by the public. What should we focus on to turn that around and create more speaking engagements as I thoroughly enjoyed them as a full blaze? So big about high tech, high touch, right? And just give you an idea, here's his page, right? So gives you an idea of what his page looks like. We give you everything you need to enroll, $2,000 coaching clients for predictability. And so it explains what you do there, where your business changed the world. These aren't showing up because I'm in Indonesia right now, so it doesn't show Vimeo in Indonesia. That's worth knowing. There's a whole bunch of countries that don't do Vimeo, whereas they do YouTube, so you might want to change where you're doing that. Then you've got the watch out training. So people are obviously clicking through on this, and then this is taking them through to a page, how to attract more committed high-paying clients, watch the training. Do you want this stuff? And then you go and watch, right? And then off you go, and then you actually then go to watch it, right? So clearly there's no personal brand here, right? So there's, so there's already a big missing gap as to who actually even is this, and why would I trust these people? And you guys, like we've talked about this already, you started by going directly to people. In the case of something like this, for someone like Maxwell, given that he actually is attracting people that at least I hope are watching it, what would your advice be as to how you bring the more personal touch into all of this?
I think first off, you kind of need to put yourself on there. I guess is the first thing as the founder of the company and representative of the credibility behind what be willing to put your face on there. And I think and then like you said, talking about stories, success stories around how you've helped other people, testimonials and all those sort of things. And I guess sometimes with the kind of website that is, maybe it's around giving away more bite-sized chunks that are more sort of tactical and practical. Whether it doesn't have to, it just so people get that sort of sense of value and they can connect that to the person that you're presenting on the website. I think is super valuable because you never know, you might have given away all the secrets they need for that 40-minute webinar, right? You never know. Or it's just too much for people to process if they're depending on what kind of level they are at. So I think one product for everyone doesn't always work.
I think also if there's some kind of special offer on there or some urgency for people to sign up, so maybe you could give away a bit of your product to so many people, offer it out there and then get the feedback and the testimonials from them.
Because one of the things we're doing and encouraging is setting it up so, getting people to apply for, I don't know, some sort of product or service and say, we will deliver extra value. You get extra time with us to ask us any sort of questions you might have around, tactical questions about launching your brand from here to here, and it does all it takes is a little bit of our time or a little bit of our process or a little bit of our system, and that kind of delivers that to people in more bite-sized, more tangible chunks.
Yeah, absolutely. And without going through what's actually on that webinar, even this kind of a conversation where you're actually having a conversation with some of your clients and you're actually saying, and they're saying, well, here's what happened and here's the results I'm getting. So then, you're not being salesy, you're not saying this thing works because they're saying it works because they're doing that, right? So, and then of course the people are going through that and then you're asking them to sign up and buy something. It very rarely works nowadays because everyone gets everything for free online, but to be able to actually say, hey, off the back of this, like tomorrow or like, next Thursday, I've got like 8 spots that I'm going to be actually having conversations with those of you who really want to take this further and I'll do a little audit with you. I'll show you like how you can take the first 5 steps along the way. It's a free call, book up a spot, like here's the link, all right, and I'll have a conversation with next Thursday. Like you'll get those calls booked, right? People go, I want that call. And then on that call, you can find out exactly what they need, where they're at. And that's not scalable when you've got hundreds of clients, but it's absolutely scalable at the very beginning when you're just getting those first people on board because there's something that's not gelling at the moment and there's no way for you to know because you're not having a conversation with them, right? So you've got to figure out what that thing is, and that comes from that personal one-to-one. There's one more question, so I'm kind of like wrap this up with this one. I think it's a really interesting one. This one is one which is again from one of the posts that have been made here. This is from Callum. So Callum has a book called Manuka Essentials. This is Manuka Essentials here, right? So it's in New Zealand, crafted by nature, and it explains all about how the leaf and flower have got extraordinary healing powers and so on. And so here's the question here. It says, do you have any advice on how to balance the message of our company brand and product brand? So it's very relevant to this call, and my personal brand to ensure that we deliver the right message to the right people. Company brand is focused on playing a role in bringing native forests back to New Zealand. So you get the idea behind that, all about sustainable farm reforestation. We're about to launch our flagship products, which is beard oil, nationwide distributor. Facial hair can be very unhygienic, so we added Manuka essential oil to the product to keep beards healthy and hygienic. My personal brand and Ikigai is to bring mass-scale reforestation to New Zealand. So we want to do that. Our website and social media communication, we know that some people will just want to buy our product and won't care about the why. How do you recommend structuring communication so that we appeal to customers or consumers that just want to buy our stuff, but also encourage people who care about the environment? So you guys have got that going with you, where you're linked to B1G1, right? And you've actually got it also on your page, which I was sharing earlier. But it's the last thing you've got here, right? The whole influence more, provide an education pack to child in Cambodia with every product we print. So it's not right up the front. You're solving a personal problem rather than going into solving a social problem. And then down. So I'd love for you guys to share just your take, like coming back to Callum's question here, as to where the purpose side should fit when it comes to the actual product message.
Sorry, broke up a little bit there, so we lost you there, sorry.
Oh yeah, so like where do you see it fitting? Because a lot of people, they put their purpose out front, which is great in a personal brand and even in the company brand. But when it comes to the actual products and how the product solves a problem, what you've learned over time as to where you need to fit the social message into the whole problem solving message.
Yeah.
I think with B1G1, we realise it's not the reason that people come to us in the first place, but it's a brilliant supportive message to give them, and it's a message that they can then pass on to their end customer as well. So it gives us that kind of, it makes us memorable, I guess. So it's not a reason why people are attracted to us in the first place, but it's a reason why they stay with us because they get this extra benefit. And once people buy into, understand the whole B1G1 concept, it's just such a powerful, ongoing thing. We get such brilliant feedback from it.
I think you kind of always wrestle with what do you put up front, personal brand. I think one of the things you can do with the personal brand is have literally have in a personal place, whether it's on Facebook and social, and be talking about those things. And it kind of you can create a loop basically back to your product brand and your company brand via your personal brand. And I think with anything we do, I mean, we work at B1G1. We've also got our education program that we do into schools, because everything we do is around trying to help people grow and, you know, helping influencers grow at different levels. But we're really passionate about helping kids, you know, find creative outlets and everything. We still don't talk about that up front, but that's what we talk about personally, and it is on the website. But I think people are going to make that leap where you kind of have to solve that problem up front. Then they're going to go look through your website and find out more about you, whether it's on social, LinkedIn, all the different places. And then they'll find out that you do all this other cool stuff as well with us personally or as a company. And that really gives them the credibility that as a deciding whether to work with you, basically, because they'll go on their own journey and find it. You just need to make sure it's there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know most on this call now would know about the 4 Ps. It's good to know about the 6 Ps, where the extra 2 are the ones that will make someone make a decision and also make someone decide to stay. Because the 4 Ps, number 1 is obviously, you know, what is the problem you're solving, which is always not the social problem. It's always what is the customer problem. What's the customer going to pay you money for, right? And then what's the promise, which is the solution to that problem, the promise you're going to make, and then the product, which is how's it going to work, and then from there the proof, which is like where's the actual like result. So those 4 already were, that was Maxwell's challenge. He didn't have all 4 there. He had the first 2, but he didn't have the next 2. So then it's like, oh, okay, I don't have all that all in place yet. And then the final 2, right, which make it 6, is price, because obviously without price, someone's not going to make a decision. And then purpose, which is the bigger why, which is exactly what you guys are talking about. It's in there, but it's like the last thing, and it's the one that kind of is there at the end to make someone go, okay, I already was deciding to buy, now I'm absolutely sure, right? Because it's going to make a difference in the world as well, which is like really, really important. So everyone who's asked questions, we are going to go through, I'm going to go through all of that on a Q&A video, so I'm going to cover that on a video coming up. I'm going to say a huge thank you, because I know you guys are taking a break right now as well, so to jump on this call and make this call during the Easter week is super awesome as well. So thank you to you both very, very much. And thanks to everyone for listening. Do post whatever's your biggest learning into the chat, and we'll be catching up again. Thanks a lot, guys.
Roger. Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.